I'd just like to share with you a few lines I received from a good friend yesterday, and it was written by Terry Tempest Williams. I didn't know Terry Tempest Williams until yesterday, but I thought, what a beautiful poem for today. So once upon a time, when women were birds, there was the simple understanding that to sing at dawn and to sing at dusk was to heal the world through joy. The birds still remember what we have forgotten, that the world is meant to be celebrated. And I had written a song, and this is a song I wrote during lockdown. I'm going to finish with this. And since singing has been effectively banned, I thought it would be a good chance to sing today, because I haven't had a chance to sing anywhere else. Is that all right? I wasn't breaking any rules. I'm far enough away from the audience. What? She says she won't try and stop me. But my dad had, just before the lockdown, the last time I saw him before lockdown, and he was leaving our house, he gave me a hug and he said, this could be the last hug for a while. And I couldn't stop crying. I thought, I don't know when I'm going to see them again. They were only a couple of hours away, but we couldn't leave the county. And then just 2 or 3 weeks after that, a very good friend died, an activist, Shaida Janjua, who was a passionate advocate for anti-racism, for people in direct provision, and she was a poet and she was a feminist, and this song just came to me, so I'm just going to finish on this today, and this is a song for all of you, and I suppose just about being brave and being strong. This could be the last hug for a while. This could be the last hug for a while, the last time I see your roguish smile. So hold me tight, things will be alright, but this could be the last hug for a while. If we didn't love, well, this would never hurt, but love makes bonds that hurt when they are cut. And love makes us understand we're all connected to this land. Yet one day we need to fly away. Yes, this could be the last hug for a while, the last time I see your roguish smile. So hold me tight, things will be alright, but this could be the last hug for a while. And this is for all of you. Be brave, be strong, give voice to those who are wronged, and shine a light so others find their way. Be brave, be strong, give voice to those who are wronged, and shine a light so others find their way. So hold me tight, things will be alright, but this will be the last hug for a while. Yes, this will be the last hug for a while. So just to say thank you so much for listening, and do stay strong and do your best to do the right thing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Lisa. I said I couldn't stop you when you were singing, but I thought I hope she can sing, and you can sing. That was beautiful. Thank you very much. Again, we don't have too much time, but if anybody does have any questions for Sean and Lisa, we have 2 microphones here at the front, so feel free to make your way up. Sean, one thing that struck me when you were talking about the destruction of these ring forts and fairy forts, and it was something that we touched on earlier with Sinead from the Arts Council, is on the one hand we're commissioning these large pieces of public art to along the sides of our motorways, and on the other hand to build these motorways we're destroying a really important part of our heritage. It's quite ironic really, isn't it? say we'll be able to hear you, I'd say.
Yeah, it's a spatial paradox, or it's about obsolescence in one sense, that certain things are understood to have reached their longevity and then they disappear because they should be replaced with some other cultural form. I mean, that's in some way understanding of what progressive culture should be, you know, that things should always change in one sense and more from one situation to another. I'm not against that. I'm not stuck in the mud about those situations. It's very hard to live a life if you are. However, the one thing I would say is about where your reference points for developing what that notion of progress should be in the first place, okay? So, I think something like the culture of ring forts and what they are should be part of that, and not simply removed as an obstacle for progress.
As you were researching your book, you called it violence on our landscape, and you came across as quite angry about it. As you did more research of the book, did you just get more and more angered as it went along? I mean,
well, you wouldn't get much done if you were just angry all the time, you know. So it's about trying to articulate situations, and like in one sense, it's about a way of cognitively trying to position the nuances of those kinds of arguments, you know. For example, there's farmers have been taken to court. There's been 2 cases in Kerry and 1 case in Cork that were successfully prosecuted over the last 10 years. So in County Clare, they established a position in the local council here in 2006 that farmers would have someone to speak to about the ring forts on their land, and that there would be very careful negotiation about what these sites were and what they could be into the future. So, you know, it's about setting in motion small little moments and conversations like this that move on to something else. And that's that's about a process of embodying knowledge into situations. Like the really interesting thing with Eddie is, like Michael had a really funny story one night. He said he found a ring fort. He went into the local farmer's yard. This lad was out to him straight away, shouting at him and cursing at him to get off the land, you know. And then Eddie came around the corner, and somehow then Eddie, it's a conversation then, you know. And there's no longer, he's not being told to fuck off the land, or he's not the guy who's going to steal something, or whatever those traits of a stranger on your farm are. And the reason why Eddie can do that is he's given his life to understanding the intricacies of those situations, and he's a household name and a face to remember here, you know.
He's a celebrity appearing on
and he's a celebrity, Carryman celebrity in Clare. And so those situations are because he put the work in and the time in and had a belief system and stuck by it, you know.
One thing, Lisa, you mentioned that artists need to step into their power, that you're essential workers, and I presume part of it is to draw people's attention, to make us look, you know, at the right places. And I suppose in some way Sean's book is doing the same thing, and it's drawing our attention to an issue. So I suppose, do you feel that if an artist isn't being political, whether it's about sustainability, about the environment, about our heritage, if they're not being political, are they not stepping into their power then?
Oh no, I think there's so many different ways of expressing your power, do you know, and it's been really interesting because we worked a lot with nuns actually on a previous project, the Sisters in Lixnaw. And I actually had a conversation with sisters that I met on Mount Brandon last week, and we were just talking about that, using your power. And for some people, being in their power is being contemplative and being really quiet and meditating and reflecting on the world, like the work of John O'Donoghue, that the most magical words came out of reflection. And I think it's whatever your power is to you. Like for some people, like me, I actually feel like I'm most powerful when I'm not engaged in any political thing, but I'm sitting at home and I'm drawing. Like all the way through the lockdown, a friend of mine, we came over and we just drew in the land for 2 or 3 hours, and I'm really quiet and I'm really focused, and I feel like there's more happening in those moments than sometimes So that's maybe why I've come back to. I used to work as a community worker, and I used to be out the streets, and I'd be placards, giving out about different things. And I kind of feel like I have more power almost sitting with the trees. Do you know? So I think it's whatever. I'm not trying to be in any way facetious, but I do think we all know, it's like, what is our purpose? Why are we here is the bigger question. And John mentioned spirituality and the fairies and everything else. But really, I suppose it is really a time, like in Viktor Frankl's work that he wrote Man's Search for Meaning after being in the concentration camp. And he was talking about that we can survive anything as long as we know what our purpose is and we have meaning in life. And I suppose now, and maybe for the lockdown, it was an opportunity for people to think, well, what is my purpose? And our purpose might be sitting, drawing, writing, singing, but I do think that maybe it has become very difficult for artists to do those things when your foundation for living, your rent, your food and everything is gone because you've had no income. And therefore, for me, sometimes I feel like doing those things is a privilege. And I have to fund it myself a lot of the time by taking on work outside of the arts. So it's how do we connect with our power when really a lot of the power has been stripped away at the minute because there's no income to do it and there's no basic survival like food and water and rent to enable us to do it. But I absolutely believe in the power of art and people speaking from our hearts.
Okay. You want to come in, Sean?
I just want to say something a little bit about activism, because I think your question is addressing that as well, and in terms of artistic practice. And I really think that there will be a shift in the next few years here in Ireland, because there's a lot of younger practices coming out now who are a lot more edgy. They have very little concern about being accepted into the art world apparatus, and they're making their own realities and doing things. And these are all practices in their early to mid-20s. So for me, they're the people I want to hang out with all the time now. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's moments there, and there's going to be a shift, I think. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank Sean and Lisa. If nobody has any more questions, I think thank you very much for your presentation. And as you mentioned, both books are available. We both have books with you, so if anyone would like to take a look at them. Before we move on to the next section, I'm going to ask the next speakers to make their way up to the stage.